Hey everybody, Matt Kufall here with JTech again. Alright, today we're going to be talking about what the AC system and the gauges and inspections and hookups. So we're going to be using a 2012 TRANSTAR Maxxforce as our test dummy here. But for starters, one of the couple things you got to look at is your gauges. So with your gauges, and we're using this section here, there's quite a few different things you need to look at prior to actually doing anything on this. You want to look at the gauges themselves and make sure that they're not damaged in any way. The screens aren't cracked. The gauges are actually look like they would work functionally, but more just that they're not damaged in any way. Because if they are, you can't use them. I'm going to hang this up here real quick and show you a few more little things. So on the high side, which is normally the red side, one of the things is you want to make sure that this valve here actually works also. The quick disconnect works. Because see, when you screw this in, what it does is it actually pushes this little pin in, if I can screw it right there, and that pushes on the Schrader valve, which then would allow the Freon to come in so you can read the gauge on the high side. Now, when you're looking at these things, you actually want to make sure this actually opens and closes. You want to look and see if you can actually see it moving any way. You always keep these things open at all times. So they're unscrewed, because when you screw them in, that's when the gauges will go up. That's when your pressure goes up. You want to look at your lines. You want to do a full inspection. Make sure you don't have any cracks in your lines. The actual connections to the gauges, you want to make sure that those aren't damaged in any way. You want to make sure, I mean, it's a full inspection from the hoses, because if you're hooking this up on a customer's truck and you drain all the Freon out, and it goes to the ground, I mean, that's your ass. That's EPA. You know, that's one of those things. You gotta thoroughly make sure that your gauges and your lines and your machine is actually properly working. All right. So hold on a minute. All right, show you a few things on these gauges that you're looking at. As you can see, you got the low side and the high side here, low side there. All right, so as you can see, 50, 100, and the PSIs. Now, something you can look at on the inside, you can also see the temperature. So R12, and you can see right there, we're using the high side, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. So that is when you do the measurements, when you're actually testing this, you're gonna go off of what's the outside temperature, what's it running at, and you're gonna have to use, there's actual whole math and equation. You can look that up, or I can show it to you later on that portion of it. All right, so as you can see, I already got the low side hooked up. I'm gonna show you how to hook up the high side. So over here is your high side connection. You unscrew it, and then if you look in there, you can see that Schrader valve in there. All right, now big thing, don't lose the little cap. All right, I like to put mine right on the tire. All right, quick disconnect. Like I said, one other thing to look at, look in there. You should have an O-ring, backup ring, the little ball sitting right there. So it's backed out all the way. You hook it up. Now, when you hook it up, you would slowly screw this in, and you'd watch until the gauge pops. Now, if you screw this in too much, you'll damage that Schrader valve. Okay? So you really got to be doing this nice and slow. I just did a couple turns. I don't have the machine on, so you're not going to be able to see all the pressures. So, like I said, inspect the lines, both ends fully for any cracks. Inspect your connections. Inspect the actual connection you're hooking up to. Your gauges itself, make sure that they are that they work functionally. If you need to, get some soapy water, and when you have pressure on it, do a soap bubble test to make sure that you don't have any leaks. If you do, stop everything and fix your system. The yellow hose here, that's going to go to the actual bottle itself. So you'd actually disconnect it back here. It's just a simple screw on, and then this would go onto the bottle itself on this. Make sure that you actually have, there's a little, if I can see it in it, yep, you can see the little black O-ring in there. So A lot of it's nothing more than a giant function test to make sure that it works in inspection. All right, take it slow. This is one of those things that you don't want to mess it up because you could potentially damage something. All right, if you have any questions, let me know, and we'll see if we can do more later on. Have a good day.